Welcome to another episode of an incredible talk show brought to you by the Indian Football Portal. Today we have with us a strength and conditioning expert who has worked with the Sporting Lisbon team in Portugal and NorthEast United and Fateh Hyderabad in India. I'm honored to welcome Mr. Mauro Martins. Hello Mauro, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. It's good year, and it's nice to see you all safe in India.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Pleasure having you here. Okay, Ryan, over to you.
Brilliant. From me as well, good to see you, Mauro. Good to see you after a long time. Today is going to be an enlightening show because we have usually had footballers and football coaches. Now, here we have a fitness expert with us, and that's going to be really, really nice, really, really helpful for a lot of the audience. So, how are you doing, Mauro? Are you all set?
I'm all set. New place, so things are a little bit chaotic. I'm sorry if the connection is not so strong, but I think everything will be okay. Let's try it.
I'm sure about that. Okay, so Mauro, now you are in a profession which is really niche and that requires a lot of study and a lot of expertise. Now, for the layman, just for the average layman, what exactly is the role of a strength and conditioning coach in a football team?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great way to start. It depends. First of all, let me say it depends on the size of the club and the size of the department you have. Obviously, if you have a big department with, let's say, 4 or 5 strength and conditioning coaches, you will be specific to one role. So, for instance, your role can be just assessing the load of training, just checking the GPS data, just working with players that are coming from injury, and in that period that they after the injury, but before they can fully train with the team. So it will depend a little bit on the size of the department, but in most of the clubs that only have one responsible for the first team, you'll need to do a little bit of everything. So obviously, your main role will be defining the load and defining everything that comprises of the fitness training. So the strength training, the speed training, the planning of the load of the training, that will be your main role. So making it for everyone to understand, your job is to make the players fitter, stronger, and faster. Then the second point will be implementing injury prevention strategies, because it does not really matter how strong and how fast a player is if he's injured most of the time. So that's the point 2. And then depending on the level you work comes the little things that you have as extra work, like the analyzing GPS data, working in the rehabilitation of the players with the medical staff. So those are the main roles that you have to do as a strength and conditioning coach.
That's really brilliantly explained. I'm actually doing 2 tasks right now. I'm interviewing you and I'm also a student at the same time because this is really, really interesting. I liked how you have broken down the role. Now, obviously, a lot of us, whoever knows you, we are aware that you have done a lot of study in this area. So, what are the academic qualifications and certifications that you have done what are the mainstream academic certifications you have done, and also the add-on topic-specific certifications?
Okay. Obviously, finished normal school as any student everywhere in the world, and then I went straight to a sports science degree in Lisbon. Finished it. Immediately start working. So I had a period of, I would say, 3-4 years that I did not study more than that. And after that, after I start working with first teams and I had a little bit more time, that's when I continue my studies. So I did studies in Arizona State University in health and wellness. Then in Netherlands, in Wageningen University and Research, where I did sports, exercise, and nutrition. And now also finished the master's in Spain in physical training for sports team for sports and team sports. I'm sorry. And extra things I always try to do. I have certificate from Harvard in cognitive fitness, and I'm actually pursuing my second master's, but at this point is a little bit difficult. But I got accepted, so I should be starting in September. It will be in strength and conditioning and injury prevention, but it's not 100% sure yet because of the workload I have right now. But if everything goes well, I should be doing my second master's.
Wow, that's now that's incredible. I mean, you've worked at a good level and you're still educating yourself. So now, just for the viewers, we have understood that you're a strength and conditioning coach, and we have understood what you have studied. Now, I will talk more about what you have done in the ISL as well as in the I League. But what do you do right now? What's your current role?
Oh, I started. Let me see if I don't get this wrong, because it's really recent. I started 3 weeks ago in Ireland. So in Shelbourne Football Club, is a professional club. And I started as head of strength and conditioning for the academy. So basically, I'm responsible for the entire department of strength and conditioning for the League of Ireland teams. So I'm responsible for the under 14s, under 15s, under 17s, and under 19s. And all these squads, they play on the highest league in Ireland for youth. So this is a new role, and it's exciting. It's a lot of work though, but things are going well.
Okay, and you've been in India. You started off in India as working with Fateh Hyderabad in the I League Second Division, and then you went on to NorthEast United in the ISL. There are two questions within this question. Number one, what did you enjoy working in India? And number two, was there a difference in role between working with a Second Division I League team and an ISL team?
Oh, first of all, even before I answer the first one, let me tell you, I love India. I love the country. I love the people. I was really pleased with the country. I enjoyed my time there. I actually have a trip booked for next December. Hopefully things will be better. So that it's a country that really surprised me and that I always take in my heart. About working in India, I enjoyed it, but it was challenging. I faced some difficulties that I was not expecting, some challenges that I was not expecting, but at the end of the day, they all made me grow and they all made me a better professional. So I only have to say good things about India. The second question, there was a big difference, obviously, between I League, Second Division, and ISL. Obviously, in terms of structure, so India, ISL, you have a lot of staff, you have a lot of people involved. It's a big competition, big clubs, big players, big facilities. The conditions most of the times were very good to work. I League Second Division is different. I was lucky because the club was not bad. It was lacking a little bit of structure. It needed a little bit of guidance. When I got there was no strength and conditioning department. There was no gym. But to be fair, I was allowed to get all strength and conditioning equipment. We made the gym from scratch, and it was good. But basically, the difference is the conditions you have to do your work. In ISL, it's easier when you need something. to find a solution and get it. In I-League second division, you have a little bit less facilities, less money, less people around you. So you'll need to be a little bit like a chameleon and trying to find solutions and try to adapt. So I would say that's the biggest difference between both of the levels.
Okay. And with the ISL, I've noticed that there are not too many days gap in between one match and another. Now, I'm sure you must be, as a strength and conditioning coach, you must be integral to this. How do you manage the workload and intensity in a way that the players are not fatigued and are completely fresh to play the next match, which could be in a couple of days?
That's a $1 million question. It's difficult. It's very difficult, and it's difficult not only because of the gaps. It's difficult because the gaps keep changing. I don't know if it's still the same, to be honest with you. But when I was working in ISL, it's not like you have a game Sunday, Wednesday, and Sunday again, and you can plan for it. No, sometimes the games were Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. Sometimes were Sunday, Tuesday, and then Friday. So the gaps are always changing, which makes it really, really, really challenging. So the key part is to try to keep the team as a group in the same level of fitness, which is not easy because you'll have some players that will have, let's say, 300 minutes of game in a week, and some players will have 30. So you need to find a way in your sessions that the players that are playing a lot are mostly doing recovery activities. So it can be some foot volley, can be some passing patterns. Whatever the work is, needs to be with low intensity and less time. Make sure that most of the things they are recovering, and the others need to be doing the complete opposite. So they need to be doing high intensity work. They need to be doing longer time. They will probably have extra work in the gym. And what we want with this is the player that played 3 games and the player that played maybe only 20 minutes, when he gets in the team, because the season is so short, he needs to be able to perform. So it's kind of trying to put a puzzle together, see where the right pieces fit. But yeah, for it to be easy to understand, is all about managing the load. So players with more game, more recovery activities, players with less game time, work them hard and make sure they are ready to. Obviously, then it becomes a matter of balancing with the coach, because the coach needs to do the other part of the work, that is prepare the players for the game, developing the game plan for that game, and make sure all the players know what to do offensively and defensively. So it's very good to have a good relationship with the coach and to respect each other's work in that sense.
That's great. That's great. And when I'm usually coaching with youth players, more than football questions, the most frequent question I get is that how do I improve my fitness? How do I get fitter? So I'm sure this must be a question that you face a lot because this is your department. If you had to give some key tips to players, to footballers, what would you say?
Depending on the age, but at younger ages, for me, will just be do as much activity as possible. And I'm not speaking, okay, then go train football 6 days a week and just do that. No, the best thing you can do when you're younger is to just improve your movement. So if you can do, imagine, play football 4 times, play cricket 2 times, or 2 times football, 2 times cricket, maybe 1 time you do something else that you like to do. This is the key, because it will improve your range of motion and your ability to do different movements. So this should be your foundation. For younger kids, when parents come to this with this question, I tell them, look, your kid is a little bit far from peak height velocity. So peak height velocity, I don't want to complicate this. Peak height velocity is a point in the kid's development where he has the biggest growth. So if they are too far from this, does not really matter how much strength and conditioning specific work you're doing. because the bodies will change completely. Some kids will, from 1 year to the other, will grow 12 centimeters. Some kids will gain 10 kgs of muscle, and this will happen normally. So before you worry with all that with younger kids, just improve the movement. That's it. That's rule number 1.
Okay, okay. So it's mainly about movement based.
Yeah,
And
movement
a lot
quality
of
for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of players are concerned about when is the right time to start lifting weights, because there's a belief that lifting weights too early could stunt your growth. So, what is your take on that?
Well, I'm part of the Australia Strength and Conditioning Association, and the guidelines. Look, every strength and conditioning coach will have a different view on this. For me, it's not about age; it's about training time. Okay? It's proven by science that you can start doing strength and conditioning work as early as 8 years old. Obviously, I'm not saying, oh, my kid is 8, let's go to the gym and squat maximum weights. No, nothing like that. But you need to follow a sequence of work. So if you start at 8 and you'll start always with body weight exercises and working on your speed and plyometric through games, then when you are 10, you already have 2 years of training, so you can start introducing squatting, other kind of movements. So I would say don't get so stuck in age, but get stuck into training time, because a kid that is 16 but is starting now, it's in a worse place to start than a kid that is 14 but has been training for 3 years as a basic, as a foundation to strength and conditioning, even if it's only body weight. So follow a progression. Progression should be body weight, speed and plyometrics, introduction to lifting, start working with low resistance. So I would say 50 to 60% of the maximum load you can carry, and then obviously start increasing.
Okay, so progressive overload. Okay, and most players that are working on their fitness, footballers specifically, they like to work on increasing their speed and their endurance. So, what's your advice to them?
There are obviously the base of the game is the endurance, but all the decisive movements are explosive, fast, short, powerful movements. So the speed is really important nowadays. The good thing is you can actually develop both. You just need to divide the work. Speed work, you don't need to do it more than twice a week. If you're really lacking and it's something that you really want to develop, twice a week is enough. And it's a work that should be done in the start of a training session. And it's a work that is done with a lot of rest in between. So it's something that people think, oh, I see it's so powerful, it's so fast, I will get so tired. But it's nothing like that, because if the speed work is well done and well conducted, it will be short work. It will be on the start while you're fresh, and it will have a lot of recovery in between repetitions and in between sets. So twice a week, it's completely okay to do it. And the good thing is you don't need anything fancy to develop your speed. The only way to develop your speed is through sprinting, is through running fast. Obviously, strength work in the gym will help, but even if you don't have access to a gym, series of sprints, you can do 5 sprints, make sure you're resting at least 30 seconds in between them, then a complete rest of 3 minutes and do it again. And this is completely enough to develop your speed. With endurance, this is the thing that is the easiest physical capacity to develop, because you can do it at any time, even when you're tired. So any 10, 15 minutes that you have at the end of a training session, you just need to do continuous activities or interval running. So the key point for all the athletes that might be watching us is endurance. You can do 3-4 times a week. Do it at the end of your session. If you don't know what to do, just go for continuous run or just do interval running. That means sometimes you can walk or slow jog and then you go faster. You don't even need to worry about the times you do it. You just need to worry of working around 15 minutes. That's it. For speed, start of the session, short work, just run as fast as you can, and that's the way to develop the speed.
Okay, so it's simple. And I'm going to ask you a sensitive question here. So usually this is to do with senior players, with the adults.
Yeah.
Can you shed some light on how alcohol and cigarettes affect performance?
Yeah. So starting with cigarettes, obviously, it affects the lungs because it's killing lung cells. So the way it affects the lungs and the way it affects performance is it will reduce your ability of consuming oxygen. So it's not like these scientifically, but to be easy to understand, imagine you breathe and 10 small pieces of oxygen come inside you. If your lungs are healthy, you can use the majority of it. If you smoke, from those 10, probably you'll only use 5 or 6. So the less oxygen you're using, the less your VO2 max will be. So your ability to work for long periods of time will be lower. Your fatigue levels will come sooner. So that's the way smoking affects it. Obviously, also it affects your health in other ways, but performance-wise, this is why you should avoid it. And the alcohol, it's more about the hydration status. So alcohol will make you be dehydrated faster. It will impair your recovery. So for instance, your hydration level, if it drops only 3%, your performance will go down crazily. So a big night out, the next day you go for training, you're dehydrated. First, you can perform. Second, a dehydrated muscle, it's very, very, very easy to get injured. So to summarize, booze alcohol will affect your hydration status, so you won't be able to perform as much and you can get injured easily. And smoking will just affect your capacity of working and your endurance. That's it.
Okay, so that's something to think about for many adult players.
Yeah.
And usually in training, footballers prefer training on their technique and then their tactics and play the actual game. So for many people, for many players, fitness is considered boring. So how does one, or how do you as a coach make it interesting? How can the players have a positive mindset towards it?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. That's a very interesting question. Every strength and conditioning will have its own style. My style is understand the game. So I try to integrate the ball in everything I do outside of the gym, obviously. So if we are doing speed, I'm not just making you run. I might make the sprint and then ending in a technical part like shooting or like passing. So you're always developing your fitness and your abilities, but you try to integrate them into game movement or into game parts. So this is I like to do it. Some strength and conditioning coaches just say, no, it's speed. We're just going to do the speed, take the ball away. And it's not that I'm right and the others are wrong. It's just different styles. Both of them work. But from experience, I know that if the players are doing it with pleasure, you get more out of the training. And the other, The other way is you need to be really good in what you do, because even if you do it in a boring way without the ball, the players will still trust you and they will still follow you if they feel improvement. They might say, oh, I don't really like how this guy trains me, but yeah, I'm faster, I'm stronger, I can run for longer, my endurance is better. They will still follow you. They will still do the work. The moment you're doing something that they find it's boring and they are not seeing results, that's the dangerous area, because most of the times you lose the players and then they won't do the work, and then obviously you won't get the results, and then the coach and the management will turn on you. So those are two key things to have in mind for all the strength and conditioning coaches that are starting, because you need to find that balance.
Great, great. I mean, I think we can carry on this conversation till day after tomorrow with the amount of knowledge that's being transferred. So now, as a strength and conditioning coach, you are a part of a backroom staff. Now, one person that, one occupation that you're usually supposed to be in coordination with constantly is the performance analyst. Is that true? And if so, how is that done?
Yeah, it's true. Look, in a football club, even if it's the scouting, the medical stuff, everyone should be a little bit in communication and should be working together, because at the end of the day, we're all working for the same goal. But for us, it is when you work with the analyst will have the data. It will have, okay, I can tell you one midfielder covered 15K. The other midfielder only covered 10. So if I give this information to the coach will say, oh, okay, then I will go with the 15K because he run more. But then the analyst is there and he's telling you, okay, wait, but the guy that only did 10, he only did 10 because he was more times on the right place at the right time, or he covered better the space, that's why he needed to run less. So we cannot be blind in our areas and just use our information, because that can lead to bad info to the coach. And bad information is worse than no information at all. Okay? So yeah, we need to coordinate, and usually that is done when the clubs are well organized. The analyst and the strength and conditioning will look at the data, and they will integrate the data together, and then they will report to the coach, so the coach can make the decisions he wants to make.
Okay, so everyone works in a team within a team. And there are the most serious footballers are usually inquisitive about the impact of nutrition and rest in performance. So could you give us a bit of an insight on that?
Yeah, and I think, at least from what I've been experienced, when I started, the players were more about following information. If you tell them, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, they will just follow. Nowadays, with the amount of information that is available, yeah, the players are, especially the younger ones, they are getting more interested. They ask more questions. They try to know a little bit more, which is very good. So obviously, your body's, when you're an athlete, and now I'm not speaking only about footballers, when you're an athlete, your body is your work machine, is how you work, is how you make your money, is how you pay your bills, you support your family. And looking at it in a very easy way, every machine needs fuel to work. If it's a car, it needs your diesel. If it's whatever machine it is, it needs fuel. And for your body, the fuel is the food. And eating and drinking the right thing at the right time will make you perform better and will help you recover. So that's the two things we need to have in mind, because most of the times we only think, oh, eat well, go for the game, that's okay. Yeah, but what happens when you have a game in 3 days? Then you need to use the nutrition and how you drink and how you eat to help that recovery after the game and preparing for the next one. So I don't know if you want me to share just simple things about how to hydrate and how to
Please do
have
so.
proper nutrition? Okay.
Please do
So
so.
hydration is something training days and game days, you should have it throughout the day. Make sure a very easy way to see if you are hydrated or not is through your urine color. So you should try to aim to have your urine as clear as possible before game and before training. And like we spoke, most of this water, you should before the game you should have water, and most of this water will go through will go to the muscles, and which will make the muscle keep working for as long as it needs to in a healthy way. So it will allow you better performance and less injury risk. And after, you should get something with electrolytes and a little bit of carbs, because that will allow to your muscle glycogen to go back to normal levels, so the recovery is faster, which means that if you need to train next day, you'll be ready. If you need to play in 2-3 days, you're ready. About nutrition, really fast. If we are splitting before game and after game, before game should eat foods that will give you more energy. So these should be carbs. When I say carbs, rice, breads, potato, that kind of food. That should be the majority of the meal. After, you should go with protein. Protein will help you the recovery process. So if you're not vegetarian, you can have all meats and fish. Eggs will do the work. If you're vegetarian, dal is very good, paneer is very good, and you just need to organize it a little bit to make sure you're eating the right thing at the right time.
Okay, I'm really impressed with that dal and paneer knowledge that you have.
Hey,
I'm
I
sure,
told
of
you,
course, that's something you
I
require,
told you I
but
like India a lot.
yes, but this is definitely these are $1 million answers that you have given. You're in fact $1 billion answers you're given to these $1 million questions. This is basically the essence of what this interview is about, and I'm sure many players are going to enjoy this. Many coaches are going to see how they can implement this knowledge into with their teams. But what I really hope for is that a lot of team management and recruiters are also watching this video, because this is a perfect, you can say it's a perfect spontaneous advertisement of what your of the quality and the knowledge that you have. So that's really nice. I think
Thank you.
that's good enough. There are just two questions, little fun based, that I'd like to know. Number one, you've worked in the ISL and the I League. So are there any players in particular?
Sorry, Ryan, I lost you there for a second. Okay, I think you're back now. Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Yes, I'll repeat. I'm so sorry about that. So you've worked in the ISL and the I League. Are there any players in particular who you've enjoyed watching, and any coaches you've enjoyed watching in action, their philosophy or their style?
From my time there, players. Let's start with the. I'll divide it in Indian and non-Indian. Obviously, Sunil. Sunil is a hero for all the Indian football fans, and he actually had a brief passage through Sporting, so I knew him before that, and he's a great player. I had a really soft spot for Jeje. He was in Chennai. I don't know if he's still there, but I really liked him. Unfortunately, he has some problem with injuries, but I liked him a lot. And I like Sandesh. He was a true leader. I remember playing against him when we went to Kerala to play against them. He did a great game, great game. So those would be my top 3 Indian from my time there. And foreigners, let me think. I liked from NorthEast itself. Marcinho was a great player. He was a great player. Then I liked Marcelinho Leite, quality striker, and Coro, another great player. But I feel bad just telling you these 3 Indian and 3 non-Indian because a lot of good players were there. Speaking about the coaches, it's difficult because coaches, you only see the work in the game, so you don't know really how they work. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name. Oh, Sergio Lobera. He did an amazing job. The team played attractive football. Sometimes they were not so compact defending, but the game they played was beautiful to see. And obviously, I need to say João de Deus was the first coach I worked in ISL. Even though it did not work well for him, but he has a lot of football knowledge, and it was a pleasure to work with him. And Jorge Costa, because I know him from Portugal. He did a good job in Mumbai. He did he did an amazing job this year also back in Portugal. I like him. I like his style. So those will be my three coaches I enjoyed watching.
Great list, great choice. And you had mentioned about knowing Sunil Chhetri from your Sporting Lisbon days. What was it like for him over there? How was he over there? How did he react to the new environment? How was he?
To be honest with you, I think it was a little bit of a shock. Just for people to understand, we have Sporting Lisbon, the first squad, not the squad that just this year that were champions and they're gonna play Champions League next year. And then there is the B squad that plays on the second year. So imagine it's like having a team playing on ISL and one team playing on I-League First Division. So he got integrated on the second squad, and even though the quality was there for everyone to see, I think he struggled a little bit with the speed and the physicality of it in Portugal and in Europe. I'm not sure if it was his first experience abroad. I think it was probably, and only after that he went to the US. But at that point, he just struggled. So his adaptation was not fast, was not easy. Also, obviously, you coming from India, it's a completely different environment. You don't have a lot of teammates. In Portugal, at that moment, there was not a lot of teammates that could speak English. So that did not help him to show all his football. That's why I struggled a little bit there. But obviously, when you are watching a training, you can immediately see the quality of the player on the ball and his technical ability. So yeah, I think he struggled a little bit physically, but I truly believe that if he did the same 5 years later, when he was a little bit more mature and a little bit more prepared for it, I think it could be different.
Okay, that's interesting. Interesting observations. My last question before we shut this: what are the next plans in life for Mr. Mauro Martins?
Oh, well, that one.
And this is the most important question out of all the questions.
Yeah, that one even I don't know how to reply to that one. But look, in football, things change so fast. So I don't plan much. But I'm gonna tell you in my mind what I would like to happen. So this project that I started now in Ireland. It's a 5-year project. So I want to see it through. So for the next 5 years, I would stay here. When I got hired, they asked me to make sure in 5 years we have 40% of our first team is coming through the academy. So that's a big challenge for me, and that's my role. So we are speaking about kids that are now 14, 15, or even younger, and develop them to reach the first team. So the next 5 years for sure will be focused on that. After that, I would like to follow my dream, that is to work on the English Premier League. So let's see. Let's see if everything goes well with the right connections. Maybe jump across the border from Ireland and work in an academy there. We have some good connections. We are in contact with Watford at the moment, Brighton also. So we have the clubs here. They are always in contact, and we do some projects together. So it will be interesting. I think our under-19s now will have a friendly game with Aston Villa under-19. So it's interesting. It's something to be excited about. But yeah, if I could define my future, that would be it. 5 years in Ireland, then jump and go work in the best country for football in the world.
I'm sure that's definitely an achievable dream considering the knowledge you have and the experience you have. The only bad news is that I think that India trip has now sailed. So I just hope maybe one day you, after finishing your Premier League journey, you put it somewhere in that bucket list to revisit India professionally again.
I need to be honest with you. At this point, I would only go to India if it was to work in a national team, and I don't mind doing it at under 16, under 17, under 18 does not really matter. I don't even mind doing it in the women's side of the game, because I did the same in New Zealand and I actually enjoyed it. So for a club, I would say it's very, very difficult. For a national team, I would like to do it. I would like to do it because I like the country. I feel at home there. I actually have a place in Hyderabad. So yeah, I'm not saying no. It's possible. It's possible.
I hope the AIFF are going to watch this video, and I hope maybe someday something like this works out. So this was really amazing. As I said, I multitasked the entire time. I took your interview and I learned a lot. I hope that we can get a blog made on this because there's a lot of information shared, and I don't want anything being missed. I'm going to transfer it back to Achis for his conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauro, for your time. Just like Ryan, even I learned a lot from this interview, and I'm sure our viewers will learn a lot as well. And I wish you all the best for your future. And I really hope that I get to see you in the Indian setup soon. All the best. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. It was a great evening for me. I think it's later there, but it was a great time, and good luck for the project. It's amazing to see you guys doing this for Indian football. So good luck for you, and it was a pleasure for me to be here with you today. Thank you.